think like 100 bob or 150, like that cheap. At 8 in the morning. I'm like, oh, I think this is the time someone proposes. Oh, and guess what? That was it. He never proposed. Like, I don't know, the ring kneeling down, or so he was like, okay. How can you be there without money? And why do you have this small phone? Hi guys, welcome to the channel. It's your girl. I'm feeling a little bit hot, like sexy hot. I love it when I put on this a bit colorful hair, but my husband doesn't like it, so he discourages me. He prefers me wearing black throughout, which I don't mind. I love it, but once in a while you change. Yes, I'm not complicated. So I'm here today to talk about my music career, why I stopped, when I started. I'll try my best to summarize it. Though, oh, who is that? Yeah, I'll try to summarize it because it's a long one. A long one. I'll try not to go into details. Yes. So for those who know me, I started music long time when I was still in primary. Yes, in primary we used to do the karaoke thing, the miming thing, which that's how I started getting interested in music. I would write songs. I would collect all those magazines and newspapers that had songs and celebrity pictures. Basically, I was so obsessed with music. I remember I had a big book that I used to write in my songs, and I would compose my own music. And I remember there's this one school that I've told you a few schools that I went to, and there's this school in Entebbe called Insamis Primary School. I don't know if it's still there, but it's one of my favorite schools that I I went to, and I was there when I was in P5. So we created a group that was it was me and then another girl. She was called Ruth, and another girl called Lillian. Hi Lillian. I wish I could see you again. Lillian was this like head of the group, and we are like the destined child of I don't know, primarily. So we used to mime, you know, you know this the groups people kids create in primary or high school or even campus. So we're that group, and it was fun. We used to like write music and mime and do karaoke. So after that, of course, I continued. When I left that school, I continued. Then I went to Rwanda. So officially, when I went to Rwanda, that's when now I started music. But I didn't start like recording or what. I kept on like pushing, and I was writing a lot of songs. That was in senior one. Then senior two, I started like recording. Like I would record myself on them. You remember there was those small cassette, what I'll call them, radios or recorders, I don't know. So it was like big, like this hand, and you put in like a small cassette, and you record, you listen, you do everything. So I used to have it. I would listen to music, I would record music, I used to write music. Then once I joined, was it senior three? Yes, senior three. I started recording now, real recording, going to the studio. So I started recording music. Like I would go there, I record, but I didn't have money to, record and pay like officially. So I would just go there, be around, like all of these guys, the old musicians in Rwanda. Okay, they are not old, but they are my age mates, like the Ben, Medi, um, King James, those old people. Uncle Austin, hi Uncle Austin, Uncle Austin, those kind of like old people, not old in age, but who started music long time. So we all started music at the same time. So being that I was from Uganda, my Kinyarwanda was very, very, very bad. So I could not like sing in Kinyarwanda properly. And then I could not sing in Luganda because I was in Rwanda, so could not like sing in Luganda. So I started music. I would go to the studio, record, and I don't release the song. Like it's like I was doing practice. Then one time I was like, no, I need to do this. So in senior 4, I think it was senior 4 or still senior 3, end of senior 3. Now I did my first song. So I realized I need someone to help me with the vocals and to help me with the Kinyarwanda. Because now I used to mix Kinyarwanda and English and Ruzungu and English. So I needed someone to back me up in Kinyarwanda because my Kinyarwanda was very bad. So I teamed up with someone else who was called Brenda. Brenda was like, she was better than me in Kinyarwanda, of course, and again her vocals were better than mine. So we made a group and it was called Kitty Girls. We recorded a few songs in Kinyarwanda and English, they were a bit bad. But hey, we were starting and we were so determined. There are so many people who started doing so bad and they end up being superstars. We all know those people. I will not mention names, but hey, I'm telling my story. So it didn't work out. We separated. I was still determined. I have to do this. It's what I want. I have to do it. So I continued doing music alone. Now I continued to record and release. Okay, they were not the best songs, but again, I was heading somewhere. So every year, every song I would improve, but still, they were not the best. So time came, I became super, super busy. Like I had a full-time job where I was working as a sales and marketing person. And time came when this job was so demanding, and that same job was the one paying for the music. Let me tell you, when it comes to music is so challenging, more especially if you want to do it the right way. The right way, I mean, if you're not going to sleep around with men, you're not going to sleep around with producers, you're not going to sleep around with promoters, blah, 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 blah. When you want to do it the right way, it's super, super challenging. I'm not saying all, most of the musicians you see out there, if they sit down and tell you their story, you'll be like, okay, you're still standing. But luckily, most of them, they make it. But the dirty games they go through, sorry, I still have cough, yes. The dirty games they go through to make it happen, to reach on top, let me tell you, it's never easy. Some of them, you would go to someone to promote your song and they start hitting on you and they're like, say, we go for dinner, say, and some of them will be so disrespectful and tell you, say, give me something, I do what you want. Yes, it was that bad. So I had to work so hard, get paid from my main job, and use that money to support my music. So yes, I used to do that, and it was so challenging. You're trying to keep your respect as a lady, but again, you want to push your music, and again, you have people around you who cannot tell you the truth. You go to a producer, instead of telling you, like, you know what, this song will not work out for you, let's do it like this. They'll just let you waste money and record something. Like, it was so challenging. I didn't have a manager. I was everything to myself because I was chasing a dream. So I kept on pushing. It was so hard. Then time came, I was like, okay, I need a sponsor. So I got someone who was sponsoring. We had some agreements, it was like, I'm going to invest money in you, but when you start making money, we have to do 60-40. Like, I take 60, you take 40, because I'm done paying for da. We had to do all of that, like, to go through that. So we made something like a contract so that we keep it professional. But hey, still, it was challenging. I had so many reasons that why things were not working out for me, because I didn't have time to sit down and compose and do what. I remember I used to go to Kampala. There's a time I started recording from Uganda. I would go to Kampala in a bus at night, reach there in the morning, go to a hotel, change, blah blah blah, then go to a studio. And that time I have only 1 week to record and do a video shooting and even take that song to the radio stations or TV stations, depending on the time. So I would use like take 1 week off from my job to do all of that. Still, I could not like do a perfect job because it was too much work to do within 1 week. But I would try my best. Of course, I would go record. After recording, I shoot the video, and then you find like after that I have like 1 day only to go like to 2 TV station, and then I come back to Kigali because the next day I had to go back to work. I'm sorry. So I kept on pushing. I realized, okay, this was, first of all, the music itself was not making money for me that time. And then I have this job, demanding job, and I cannot afford to leave my job because it's the only source of income that is paying all the bills, music, rent, everything. So I could not afford to mess up with my job. So time came, I was like, okay, I need to have a plan B. I cannot keep on doing this, and I'm spending a lot of money. My music was not going anywhere. And I was not the best, like I needed time, which I didn't have. I wanted to do it like, you know. So time came, I changed jobs, I went to another company and I opened a shop in town, downtown, that is in Kigali. And then now I end up having 3 jobs. So I had a shop, my personal shop that I know I was running, and then I had a full-time job, office job, and then I had a music career. So it was so demanding, and out of that, the full-time job was paying. The shop was a new shop, it was struggling. Like, when you set up a new shop, most of the times you don't start making profits immediately. So you have to support the shop for some time. So I realized now there's no way. First of all, I was not like a rich person. I was like, I need to cut one thing out of the 3 things. Which one should I cut? I had to sit down, discuss with my soul and heart and mind which one to drop, and I decided to drop music because my shop was promising, and of course my full-time job was paying for all the bills. I could not just leave it. But music was more of a hobby that time. That time it was more of a hobby. And I was like, no, I think I don't need this hobby anymore. I need to move on. I need to change. There are so many challenges in music, and I respect people who have managed to get there, who have succeeded in music, because it's even if you're a man or a woman, the challenges are almost the same. When you're a man, it's like you're not allowed to date because every girl wants you, so you have to keep your relationship super private so that you keep your female fan base on top. For women, it's the worst because everyone wants to have a piece of you. When I mean everyone, I mean everyone. Like everyone. Starting from the producer to the promoter to the event promoter to the radio presenter, TV presenter, news, what? Like everyone wants a piece of you. And I was so proud that, I wanted to do this the right way. The right way meaning I promote my music the right way, it gets there the right way without sleeping around with people. But again, I noticed if you don't have a manager, that's what happens. And having a manager, most of the times, it means you're either dating that manager or you're really paying him very well, which I couldn't afford. So I struggled promoting my music. I struggled in everything. I'd reach a point and I take a break and I come back and I start again. My goodness, I struggled and struggled and struggled, and I reached a point I was like, okay, I need to give up on this. I need to. I've done it because I've done it for so long. Because I remember I started senior three up. I dropped music in 2015. That's when I did my last song in 2015. So you can imagine I had done it for more than what, 10 years? More than 10 years. Yes. I'd done it for more than 10 years. Of course, most of the times I used to be at school, in a boarding school, so I would only do the music recording and everything in holidays, which also used to take a lot of time. I have to wait 3 months before going home for holidays to record, and sometimes I don't record because I don't have money for recording for studio. You find like I'll postpone that to next holiday. It used to be a challenge. But again, it used to be fun because I would leave school anytime. That is high school, in the other school I told you, where we used to torture the principals. So I would leave school anytime because when I started in that school, we had that good principal who was so supportive. So I would leave anytime and go for concerts. I used to get concerts and get paid little money. But again, I would go for concerts. There's this one time I went to a club to perform in a club at night, and it was school time. So that time I'd requested permission to go home because it was a Friday. So I went home. I requested to go home. Instead of going home, that day I had a performance in a club. It was called B Club. And I remember going to a B Club, overdressed, just like a star, a cheap star. I would call it like that. So dressed like a cheap star with a lot of I don't know, jewels, da 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 da. So I remember going to that club, big club in Kigali. What's wrong with me? In Kigali, and then I remember I was seated in a corner because they used to have this VIP place where stars used to sit before they perform. So I remember I was seated. By the way, when I was doing music, I never used to drink at all, like at all. I'll go on stage super normal and super what's the word, like I never used to drink anything apart from water and soft drinks. So I used to be so alert. I used to do things when I was like super normal, like without using anything. So back to the story. As I was seated in the corner as a star waiting for my time to perform, guess who I saw? My brother, my big brother, who was taking care of me, and I was living in his house. Then I see my brother. Have you ever seen a star hiding under the table? A star hiding under the table. So I had to hide under the table so that my brother cannot see me, because he was expecting me to be at school. And your girl was in a club. A club, and I'd gone to perform. And I was a young girl. I don't remember but I was still in high school. I think I was like in senior 5 there. So I saw my brother and I was like, hell no, there's no way I can, put myself out there for my brother to see. And guess what? Because he had not seen me, of course. He was out with the boys, and then they call for this girl to perform. And my brother sees the sister on stage. Because now they called me. I had no any other choice. I had to come out and perform. And I was like, I'll explain myself later, but I have a job to do. So the moment my brother saw me, he was like, okay, what are you doing here? And I'm like, we'll talk. And so, but it's in a club, like someone has to come near you, like for you to hear, because the music is so loud, blah blah blah. He was like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I came to perform. Like, you're supposed to be at school. And I'm, yes, but they gave me permission. He was like, okay, I can't deal with you right now. I'll see you at home. He left because now he could not stay in the club where his young sister, she's going to perform. Like, he could not. What if I see his mistakes and then I go home and tell the entire world? Eh? He could not afford to be in the same place with me. I was a kid. So he left, and the next day, and we had this habit, like we would talk with the security guard and tell him, because we used to have his number, like, you open for me at around this time. So he would come, sneak in, and then he opens for you, go in, like, Then in the morning, the moment he woke up, he was like, where is she? I was like, okay, I'm so dead today. It was the first time that I was going to fight with my brother. And I was like, okay, today is going to kill me. I've never seen him pissed. I don't know what to expect. Is this cool guy? Normally, he would just look at you, even if you mess up, how he look at you and just, ignore you because he doesn't have time to fight with anyone. By that time, I was like, okay, I am so dead. What am I going to say? How am I going to survive this situation? So he called me, like, okay, I need to understand, what were you doing in a club when you're supposed to be at school? So I explained myself, and then he was like, okay. But he was so calm. And then he was like, okay, now I need to have an agreement with you. I don't stop you from being a musician. I don't want you even to stop. But I need you to focus on school when it's time for school. In holidays, you can do whatever you want. I need you to finish up school. I need school to be your priority. Then once you're done with school, once you're done with senior 6, if you want to continue with music, you go ahead. Campus, you can decide what you want. You can combine music and school. You'll be a big person. You'll be above 18. There, I'll not complain. But right now, I need you to do school. I need you to focus on school. I need you to get me that document that you're done with senior 6. Then the rest, I'll not disturb you. So I remember telling my brother, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Because my mind was so on music. I was like, okay, once I'm done with senior 6, I'll give you your document, your certificate, because that time it was not my certificate. I felt like I was doing it for him. I was doing him a favor of going to school. So I was like, I'll give you your certificate, and then I don't expect to hear you saying that, where are you going, what time, what. No. Once I give you your certificate, you let me do anything I want when it comes to music. And then he was like, it's a deal. We have a deal. I remember going back to school, focusing on school so that I give him that document, and then I go do my music. So which I managed to study and, came out, with good grades, and he was so proud of me. And then I was like, here is your document. I'm so done with you. Now it's time to do my own thing. And he was like, okay. So I remember that time, of course, it's a journey, but I remember that time going to Uganda. That is my senior 6 vacation. You have that whole year doing nothing. So I remember going to Uganda, and I remember I signed up an interview for this group in Uganda. It was called Chili Girls. I think it was called Chili Girls. I think so. So I did an interview, and they were telling me, okay, they can take me, but now I need to move to Uganda. And then I was like, I'm okay to move to Uganda, but now I need assurance that, they can pay, we can agree on how I can do my campus in Uganda. And then they were like, no, that one we cannot have a deal with you, because That is your decision to make. If you want to go back to school, you go back to school, you pay for yourself. But for us, what our deal is music, and you put music first. Then I told them, okay, let me go think about it. I came back to Rwanda. That time it was the results were out, and I noticed that I'd I'd got scholarship to one of the best universities in Kigali. And then I was like, okay, now I got so confused because these guys were telling me to throw everything behind my scholarship. I'd go to Uganda and join this group where they are not even guaranteeing that they are going to pay for my school fees for me to join the campus. And yet in Rwanda, I had a scholarship. I remember talking to my brother about it, and then he was like, "You cannot throw away a scholarship of a music group. Music can always come. You need to focus on school." So by that time I was a big girl. I knew what I wanted. I was like, okay, let me just drop the music part. So I dropped that part. I went back to Rwanda, focused on my school campus, as I know I tried to push my music individual, which still was so hard. All the people we started with, they were so ahead. Of course, they were better than me. They were, up to now, they are still doing good. So I focused more on school, and I realized that I need school more than music that time. So I focused on music, and I finished campus. I was like, okay, let me try it again. But the more you grow up, the more responsibilities, but you have bills, and then you cannot just, waste your life focusing on music without a plan B. Oh, so time came and I was like, okay, I think this is not my thing anymore. Yes, I love it, but I don't see any sign telling me to keep pushing. Everything was challenging me. Everything was so hard for me. So I was like, no, I think I need to count my losses and focus on other things that were more important than music, and at least things that were promising. That's when I decided to drop music and focus on my full-time job, and focus on my shop, and focus on other projects that I had. So I dropped music like that. So funny thing, one of my niece in my nephew in Uganda, when I told him, oh, by the he's called Edwin. Yes. I remember. I told him, hey, by the way, I stopped music. And then was like, oh, thank God, you were so bad. And I'm like, come on. Why didn't you tell me that time? Why are you telling me now? You would have told me that time when I was still spending money on it. But anyway, it was just one of those things that I really, really enjoyed and loved doing. But of course, it had a lot of challenges. And I think one of the things, because we all know there are so many people out there who are not so good in music vocally, but they've succeeded. We know them. I don't want to go into details and with the names and everything. They've succeeded. So it's not about my vocals that I had those times. It's not about, like, it's about that, I was not willing to give in extra for me to get what I wanted. And I'm telling you this, and I know so many people may not come out to say it, but being a female musician, it's not easy. It's not easy. It needs a lot. And if you don't have principles, that's how you end up seeing people. They are using drugs, they are sleeping around, they end up getting diseases because you really want these things so badly that you're willing to do anything to get there. So I was not that person. Yes, I love the music part, but I was not willing to do anything, like anything that will spoil my life. I was not willing to do that. So I think it also contributed to my failure in music. But again, I thank God that it didn't happen. I always believe that when something does not happen, there's something God is protecting you from. So I thank God that didn't happen. I don't know how my life would have been, but again, I'm grateful because I'm doing okay. Yes. So that's how I end up dropping music. for those who wanted to know. So when you search on internet, I'll not give you the name, but when you search on internet, you see on YouTube, you see my music, my old music. Yes, I'm proud of my music because that time that's what I could afford and that's what I was able to do. So at least I enjoyed it for a little bit. And I remember I worked with a few musicians. There's even a time I was supposed to do collabo with the Radio and Weasel. Oh, rest in peace, Radio. There's a time we were supposed to do a collabo, and I remember going to their place with someone who was connecting me to them, and I used to go there almost every day. I'd taken a week off from work to go record with them, and then we move from our hotel to their place every day, every day, every day. And they knew why I was there, but I think they didn't want to do collabo with me. But anyway, I spent time and I spent money and my time there running after them. That's like the first time I met them very well and we became friends. My special Radio, we became friends, so they would call me in Kigali whenever they come. Hey, Kitty, we are around. Come say hi to us. Like, but that's when I got to know Radio. So it was a good journey, not perfect, but hey, I enjoyed the little bit of it and I thank God I went through it. Maybe I wouldn't be here if I didn't even try it, but it is what it is. So for those who wanted to know why I dropped music, yeah, now you know I've not gone into details because that story can take days. But at least now you know. So I thank you, appreciate you, and I love you. Thank you for supporting. I'll see you next time on Kiri. See you. Bye bye.